Hi everyone, Sebastian Richard here for Lead Like a Superhero. And today we're continuing our series of super inspiration from the book Lead Like a Superhero. And obviously sometimes we're going to be talking about quotes that are better or not as inspirational as others. I mean, obviously there's some quotes out in the book that I find absolutely amazing. Some are good, but they're all there, and we're going to go through each and every one of them. Like yesterday I did Ra's al Ghul. Obviously the character of Ra's al Ghul is not super inspirational. He is a villain after all, and I'm not a big fan of villains. I'm a fan of superheroes. So today we're talking about a quote from none other than Captain America. So that's going to be much better in my opinion, and much more fun to talk about as well. And I need to put you in context because this is a very special quote. I think it's an iconic comic book moment that Marvel completely passed by in their movie Civil War. It was, I think, Civil War, the Marvel version, the cinematic version was crap. That's my opinion because I actually read the comic. I heard the audio version of the comic and it was absolute gold and standard. It was amazing. There were amazing leadership lessons in that comic book. So for you, if some among you are interested into buying interesting comic book, buy Civil War, the comic book, and you won't be disappointed. It's much better than the movie and much more epic as well. Anyway, that said, I want to put you in context about the quote of today. So, at the beginning of Civil War, Spider-Man sided with Iron Man. They don't show you that in the movie, but in the comics, this is what happens. He sides with Iron Man, but then he starts seeing some very shady stuff that's going on because of the government, because of a lot of the way they do things and the way they're forcing superheroes into registration. And Spider-Man, to make maybe a pun, his spider sense is tingling. He's not happy with it. And he decides to switch sides in the middle of the conflict. So he goes from Team Iron Man to Team Captain America. And when he joins Team Captain America, he basically joins the rebels, right? The rebellion. And they've been standing strong so far because of Cap's leadership. But he's got to know, he's got to understand how to do this because right now, because he switched sides, the whole world is turning against him. And he's in over his head and he's overwhelmed and he finds it extremely challenging. So in the comic book, he's in a conversation with Cap. Here I printed it out. So I'm going to read to you a little bit how the conversation goes. But basically, you have Peter Parker asking Steve Rogers, so Peter Parker, a.k.a. Spider-Man, asking Steve Rogers, a.k.a. Captain America, how does he do it? How do you stand strong when the whole world turns against you? So here's what he says. He says, how does someone like you deal with it? I mean, you practically are the country. So how does the man who is the country react when the country goes a different way? Steve Rogers says, you really want to know? Spider-Man, Peter Parker says, I don't want to know, Cap. I have to know. In other words, this is what I'm dealing with here. I got to know this because I need that wisdom from you. So here's the quote. Here's what Captain America says to him, okay? He says, doesn't matter what the press says. Doesn't matter what the politicians or the mobs say. Doesn't matter if the whole country decides that something is wrong, that something wrong is something right. Sorry about that. I'll reread that. Doesn't matter if the whole country decides that something wrong is something right. This nation was founded on one principle above all else, the requirement that we stand up for what we believe, no matter the odds or the consequences. When the mob and the press and the world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. Now that's what Captain America said, and it epitomizes the quote that I've read a few times. It says, if you do not stand for anything, you will fall for everything. And in leadership, that may mean standing alone sometimes. Sometimes you're gonna make decisions that will not be popular, that will get you hated, that will get you hate emails that will basically the whole world might become against you. I remember a couple years back, the founders of Chick-fil-A decided to voice themselves against what they considered was a bad policy against gay marriage, and they had their conviction. They stood behind it, and the whole world, seemingly anyway, in the media, if we looked at the media, it seemed like the whole world turned against them. But actually, that wasn't quite true. That was more like the media portrayal, that the whole world was turning against them, because actually their sales went up after that. But that's another story. But the point is, they stood by their convictions. And you know what? That's what you got to do. If you're in a leadership position, you have to stand by your own convictions, whatever they are. Hopefully they are moral, hopefully they are upright, hopefully they are good for the people you lead. But in the end, you have to stand by the river of truth, like Captain America says, and stand strong and tell the world, no, I'm not moving. You move. And on that, I wish you an excellent day. I hope you have a good Monday. And I hope God blesses you as you decide to stand strong. All right? God bless you. See you tomorrow.